Hi, everybody, and welcome aboard to Local Matters, where living local never felt so good. Well, it never feels good to talk about crime, especially when crime turns deadly. You see, crime is central to issues that really matter to communities all across America because it affects issues of safety, education, housing, opportunity, and a plethora of other issues. As thousands of city residents are killed or injured with guns each year all around this country, mayors and community leaders are challenged to find effective solutions. And that's where we are here too in our community. So when we come back, we're going to meet several people in our community who are working on building solutions. And you're going to meet them when we come back. You know why? Because you're watching Local Matters.
Dance.
Love how she's.
Let me see you move.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Local Matters. You know, as thousands of city residents are killed or injured with guns each year, mayors and community leaders are challenged to find effective solutions. Joining me today are several members from two vastly different businesses who are working to build effective solutions right here at home. So welcome aboard, Miss Laura Phillips. You are here with us from the Calhoun-Cleburne District Attorney's Office.
Yes.
And also Miss Iris Irvin that's here with us from Irvin Funeral Home. Yeah, great to have you. I guess you were dying to get here, right?
Yes, I was. Absolutely.
You know I had to throw in one of those dying jokes for you.
Of course.
But it's so good to just really have both of you here because, you know, we've got so much going on in the community. The numbers are just really inching up, it seems, every month. In fact, I want to talk with you first, Laura. Again, you're here with us from the Cleburne Calhoun County District Attorney's Office.
Yes, ma'am.
And you and I were talking on the phone, I guess just a couple of weeks ago, and I know you've been quite vocal as well on social media about really bringing awareness and education to all of us about what's happening in our city, and that's a great thing, and I'm so glad that you're doing that. But one of the things that you shared with me really kind of startled me when you talked about the trajectory of numbers. We're only in April right now. Talk to me about that.
We're since January the 1st, just in the city of Anniston, we have seen 8 murders, and so you think about we're at April the 20th, April 21st, and you're looking at just going through the summer months. If we stay on the same projected path, we'll have anywhere from 20 to 24 murders in Calhoun County, and that's just in the 8 murders I'm talking about. We're just in the city of Anniston.
Okay, so that didn't encompass the entire county, because I thought one of them was at least in Weaver. Is that being lumped into there as well?
No, this was just in the city of Anniston that I'm talking about.
And so what was the number again? It was
8.
8.
Yes.
Just in the city of
Just in
Anniston.
the
And
city of
as you
Anniston.
mentioned, we're only in April.
We're only in April. So last year, I believe, in the city of Anniston, there was a total of 9
Total.
total
For the
of
whole
9
year?
for the whole 12 months. Just in the first 4 months, we've had 8.
So we can already see now. We don't have to be mathematicians
No.
to see that something is happening here. Something that of course is not good. That the numbers are now doubling. So if we're in April and we've got 9, 9?
8.
8. 8 already. So we've got another how many more months to go before we get to December?
Yeah, you've got 6 more months, or I'm sorry, 8 more months to go, and
Yeah.
you know, our numbers, and always we see an increase in homicides and violent crimes through the summer months. There's more people outside, there's more people out on the streets, that kind of.
Of course.
So for some reason, summer months are usually higher for a violent crime.
Right.
And we haven't even got to the summer
We
months
haven't
yet.
even got there. So we already know that we cannot sit back, you know, we cannot be idle about what's going on.
No.
Iris, I want to talk to you again. I've got to throw another joke in about the funeral. You know, we just can't, remain complacent. We can't be dead. We can't be dead about this issue.
Right.
And that's why, and I'm glad that, for the first time we see Irvin Funeral Home. Now, it's really awesome to see Irvin Funeral Home getting involved, because that's what the show is all about. Today we're talking with just 2 people here, 2 businesses and organizations that decided to say, enough is enough.
Right.
We've got to do more.
Exactly.
Iris, I remember every summer coming to visit my father every summer, and I remember 15th Street when it was very vibrant. All sorts of businesses aligned 15th Street. We're talking about Hall's Photography, was Mr. Hall. We had Steady Myers Groceries. We had Greens. We had, let's see, we had even my father's own business, Christian Benevolent Insurance Company. We had Hansler Billiard. We had Billiard Realty. I mean, we could go on and on of the African American owned businesses that just went right down 15th Street. You guys, Irvin Funeral Home, one of the few remaining giants still there in the community, and I know it must really break your heart to see what's happening.
Absolutely. It is so disheartening. We're right in the heart of West Anniston, so we see that there's no sense of community. There's so much violence. There doesn't seem to be any good news coming out of West Anniston. So we asked ourselves, what can we do? How can we change things? How can we get things turned around? How can we inspire that sense of community again? How can we rebuild West Anniston? How can we bring businesses back?
Yes.
So that's the mission that we're on.
That's the mission now that Irvin Funeral Home are saying. We're not just going to remain silent in this. We're not going to remain complacent on what's going on in our neighborhood.
Right.
You're there, as I mentioned, one of the few businesses that are still there and doing well. But you're not there just there. You don't want to just be there burying people.
Absolutely not. No.
You know, saying
no.
that's the only thing we want to do is make sure we can come out and get a body and bury them, and, and that's it.
No, man. No, not at all.
I know you called me, I'm not going to say somebody, you called me along with Carlos Woodard, called me a few weeks ago talking about it, what was happening in the community, and you guys decided to put together a number of solutions to really, because you know, community involvement is so important.
Yes.
And before I ask you the question, I want to bring up a full screen we have. Some of the strategies that we want to stress today, I have a full screen that I want to bring up. The main ones that you have to think about in terms of combating violence is that you have to have city leadership. Laura, that includes you and what you guys are doing out of the district attorney's office there.
Correct.
You have to have programs in place, and you have to have community involvement. Those are the three that I decidedly would put together and say they're very important. You know, I don't want to take anything away from the Anniston Police Department. It's important that people are arrested. But we can't arrest our way out of something like this. We just can't go and say, we can't be reactive.
Right.
Exactly.
We can't be reactive. We've got to be, we've got to do something that's we've got to be proactive on some things, and that's where I'm really excited to see Irvin Funeral Home say we're here and we're going to do something about it. So tell me about some of the strategies that you guys are putting in place there at Irvin Funeral Home.
Well, some of the things that we're doing. In February, we hosted a Tell the Story session. Part of the problem we feel like is that we don't know our history. So what we did was we had the fifth little girl from the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing over in Birmingham.
Yes.
We had her come over and tell her story, tell about the climate, about things that happened that day. We would love for our children to know who they are and where they came from, what they're made of.
And before we got to go to break, I hear my producer, director in my ear. I want to come back. We've got to go to break. When we come back, we're going to be talking more with Laura Phillips from the Cleveland Calhoun County District Attorney's Office here in Anniston. We're going to be talking more with Iris Irvin. She's here with us from Irvin Funeral Home. We're talking about, that's the show today, we're talking about strategies that we're working, that we're putting in place here in the community to combat an increased rate of violence here in the city of Anniston and throughout the county for that matter. We'll be right back with more Local Matters. Hi everybody, welcome back to Local Matters, where living local never felt so good. I'm Dottie Ramsey. You know, it doesn't feel good to talk about crime, especially when crime turns deadly, but that's what we're here to talk about. I'm joined with Laura Phillips. She's here with us from the Calhoun Cleveland District Attorney's Office, and Miss Iris Irvin, who is here with us from Irvin Funeral Home in Anniston. We've been talking about strategies that we must put in place. You know, arrest is great, but we can't arrest our way out of this. We've got to be proactive. The numbers are far too high, and so we've been here talking about some things that are going on in the city to sort of combat this increased level of violence. So welcome back to Local Matters. Before we went to break, Iris, you were sharing with us that there are some things that you guys are doing at Irvin Funeral Home that really were quite unique to me. Almost sound like a classroom setting, but talk to us about that.
Okay, as I've mentioned before, we're hosting these Tell the Story sessions, and what we're doing is we're inviting people, foot soldiers, activists, anybody that was involved in the civil rights struggle, anybody who can share some information with our children about the things that they went through so that our children could have privileges. We're inviting them to come in, and we'll put together the session. We'll feed them after the session, but we just want our children to hear their history.
And they need to hear that. And food is good. That's a good incentive to always come out. When you say food, people will come.
Oh yes, definitely.
And you know what? And that's a really a great strategy, because believe it or not, we take it for granted that okay, so we know a little bit about our history, so we just assume sure the kids know. How are they going to know unless you really talk to them? But if you are a newcomer to Anniston and you really don't know the history of Anniston and know what it was before and what we had, how can you really share that with them?
Right.
So you guys are really there allowing them an opportunity to share with them the history of Anniston, but more importantly, share with them the history of who they are.
Right.
As people.
Yes.
What types of movies are you showing them to help them understand who they are?
Okay, now the movie sessions we're getting those started now, but one of the first movies that we will be showing will be Hidden Figures.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
When I went to see it, I was sitting there, and I never felt so proud to walk out of a movie theater as a black woman in my whole life. I was walking out with my head held high like I was part of the movie, you know?
Exactly.
But I felt good.
Yes, our young ladies need to know, hey, we can do this. We don't have to walk around barely clothed, showing everything that we have.
Right.
We can use our mind. We can accomplish great things.
That's right. That's
People need us. We have power. Our young ladies need to know this, and so do our young men. So
they need to understand that you don't have to. And I understand that if you are coming from a single a parent home, and especially if you're a boy and you see your mom and you're struggling, trying to do the best that she can to pay the bills. And believe it or not, when boys grow up in single family homes, I can say this, and I'm not something I just read or I'm talking about, because I too was a single parent. I had boys, and boys want to do that. They want to take charge and say, I want to protect mom, and I want to earn my keep, if you will. And that's why one of the reasons why I think they can become they can be in an area where they are a prime target for drug dealers to come and to approach them.
Yes.
I'll share with you a quick story. When we were living in Hartford, Connecticut, my oldest, he was only maybe in the 1st or 2nd grade, and we lived in a pretty decent area in Hartford. And he and his friends, they were riding their bikes, and I just kind of casually went out to check on him, and kind of stumbled upon an older kid there in the neighborhood. He might have been 12, 13, 14, and I walked right on it as he was asking that the other little one, not my son, but the other little kid, he said, can you take this down to, he named the house, the people in the house and the address, and he put it in that little kid's hand, and the little kid rode off on his bike. And what he was giving him was a little pack, it looked like a little pack of cocaine. And that little kid was already being used as a runner.
Exactly.
Already. He didn't even realize what he was doing. He was like, sure, okay. And he said, when you get back, I'll give you 15, 20 bucks. You know, and so when kids are coming out of home sometime and they feel like they see mom struggling, they want to earn their keep, they can easily become a target for something like that.
Exactly.
So what you're doing at Irvin Funeral Home is to helping them understand that they don't have to do that.
They don't have to do that. There are so many other ways that you can take care of your family, that you can be a provider.
But for a little kid, I think what I would probably say, one of the things you guys want to do is make sure that they understand the best way they can do is just be an outstanding student. Because once you get that education, the future is yours.
Exactly.
I know in the district attorney's office, Laura, you and I talked so many things you guys are doing. Talk to me just about one of them. I mean,
one of the things that we're doing is we've started the Family Initiative program, which is we're working with a school system in Calhoun County where they notify us of children in elementary school and middle school who are their behaviors are projecting that they're going to be probably at high risk of later criminal behaviors or worse behaviors in school, which will interfere with their education. We contact them through the district attorney's office and tell them that if there's another violation, we'll be getting back in touch with you, and we will hook you up with basically the Family Initiative program, and that family will be assessed, and they'll be provided services, not just the child themselves. They'll be also assessed for reasons maybe why these behaviors continue, but also the family itself.
Right.
And try to holistically treat that situation, so we're proactively trying to stop the behaviors that may come on later in life in the mid to later teens.
Exactly. And that's good you're doing it. Again, you're trying to be proactive and not wait and let it escalate and escalate. Now, some families might, I would imagine, I'm being a devil's advocate here, because some families might say, well, why are you calling me? You know, well, my kid only got in trouble one time. Why are you calling me?
Well, and our answer to that is because we're trying to, we're not offering this as the district attorney's office who's trying to prosecute or bring charges against him. This program is to try to help that family. So the services that we're trying to provide through the local agencies in our area is not going to be something where it has a chilling effect to the parent coming forward and asking for those services or accepting those services. We're not acting in the true sense of the word of a prosecutor.
Right.
We're acting in being proactive and trying to stop and prevent crime
Sounds
early
like you
on.
guys are acting more as a conduit, right there with the
Exactly.
with the services that are already out there. Yep, got my director hollering in my ear again. We'll be right back. Got to go to break. We'll be right back with more Local Matters.
Let me see you move. Come on, come on. Yeah, dance.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Local Matters, where living local never felt so good. We're talking about crime, but not just crime in and of itself. We're talking about strategies that are in place here in Anniston and Calhoun County, strategies that are used to combat this increased level of crime. I'm joined with Laura Phillips from the Calhoun-Cleveland County District Attorney's Office, along with Miss Iris Irvin of Irvin Funeral Home. They said they are not just here to bury the dead, but they want to make sure that people stay alive and well, and that's why they too are jumping in and getting involved, because that's what it takes. It takes community involvement. It's not just this is, with what's happening, and it's not just here in Anniston. I don't want people to think that we're just picking on Anniston or we're just picking on Calhoun County, and why is she talking about high crime? Yeah, high crime is, studies show that all over this country, all over the world for a minute, violence is up. I don't think it takes a rocket science to know that. We can just turn our TVs on and news on and go to our laptops and iPhones and see people all over the world fighting in IHOP or you name it. It's just there. But the only way that we can really work with this big thing, if you will, is to just really try to be proactive, and
Yes.
that's what we're doing. Laura, before we went to break, you were talking about the Family Initiatives program that's out of the Cleveland Calhoun County District Attorney's Office. Talk to us a little bit. Are you working with Family Links with that?
That's correct. One of our major agencies that we're working with is Katina Houston at Family Links and the Success Academy, which provides so many families with assistance in parenting classes, with also education units that they can get, helping others get GEDs. It not only just serves the children at Family Links, we also serve the parents and the family as a whole. And that is, I believe, key in working with a child who has behavioral issues, who may be at high risk of becoming those behaviors growing into criminal issues.
It is key, because I read a study just the other day, and it talked about that kids who grow up in environments where they live that every day. They live in violent environments, no matter how well the home is, no matter how well they might be groomed for success. It's almost like if it's this human nature, they'll be pulled into that orbit of violence.
Correct.
And so you have to have the community that will have programs to help them to pull them back, if you will, to pull them back.
That's correct, to
Yeah.
overcome.
You mentioned another program. I think you guys are working with the Danon Project as well, Danon Project?
The Dannon Project
Yeah.
is a wonderful project that works with usually 18 to 24, but they'll also accept others after the age of 24. They provide employment services, helping people get jobs. They provide training in certain type of skilled work, and they also provide free GED training. So that is a wonderful project that is in our community that the court system uses when we have people in that age group
Right.
who become involved with the criminal justice system.
Yes.
We can order them through their probation or through community corrections to be involved with Dannon Project.
That is good.
Yes.
So at least so once they can finish up, they've got something in place they can now utilize, and hopefully at least they're equipped now to go and get a job.
You're right,
Yeah,
exactly.
they're not just being detained and learning
Right.
nothing and gaining nothing.
Right.
I know, Iris, let's go back to you over at Irvin Funeral Home. You've been talking with us all morning long about some of the things that you guys are doing there with Irvin Funeral Home and some of the projections that you guys want to work with the community on. But just recently, you guys you had a parade. Talk to me about the whole. What was the whole essence behind having a parade on 15th Street? I understand it was just a couple of weeks ago.
Yes. Well, initially the parade was to call attention to the violence on the west side. But as it began to grow, it became multifunctional. It was also to encourage growth, entrepreneurship, as well as involving family members and involving the community, rebuilding the community once again. But the parade was so much fun. It was wonderful. We had a very special appearance by the Easter Bunny. He came out and joined us.
Because it was during the Easter parade, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it was during the Easter time of the year.
Yes, but it was really great. We went to several businesses, several churches, several of our local organizations, Alabama A&M Alumni Association.
Yeah, speaking of Alabama A&M, I wanted to bring up some video that I had in place featuring them actually in their band. They didn't come, not this time, but maybe that's something that we can do maybe for next year.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
You mentioned Alabama A&M and what was going on with them now, their initiative?
Their Alumni Association, they came out and supported in great numbers. The Anniston High School drumline was there as well. Councilman David Reddick, there were several others.
And I know was State Representative Barbara Board, was she there as well?
State Representative Barbara
So
Board
it
was there
sounds like
as well.
it was a pretty good number of people out there.
Yes, it actually turned out better than we thought for the first time. So.
And that's good, because usually the first time, it's not, sometimes it can be really, really great, and then sometimes not so great, but it gives you now a launching
Yes.
pad to say that was your first year, you got that out the way, but now you can plan for a bigger, better one next year. And the whole
Absolutely.
essence of this parade was, again, the whole significance of it was to say you are basically chiming in and saying we're going to do what we can to stop the violence.
Yes.
But let's find love within our own community. No matter how bad it may seem in West Anniston, the businesses might not be there again as they were in the past, but still, we got to love ourselves.
Exactly.
We have to love ourselves, and I think that's a great thing. I think that's a great thing that you can. I'll be looking forward for the parade next year.
Okay.
And we'll be looking forward to you again next week for more local matters. We're so glad that you chimed in and turned it to us for tonight, and we'll look for you back next week. You know why? Because if it's local, it matters. Have a good night.